Hi, welcome to the Brief Book Reviews channel, otherwise known as An Old Guy Reviews the book that he's read this week. So what's the old guy read this week? Well, the book I've read this week is this one. It's called What the Night Brings by author Mark Billingham. It was published as a hardback by Sphere here in the UK on the 19th of June 2025, and it's another adventure for DI Tom Thorne. In fact, it's the 19th DI Tom Thorne adventure. So a well-established character, a detective who sometimes cuts corners, sometimes doesn't always abide by the rules to get the job done, but balanced out by his partner DI Nicola Tanner, who was a stickler for the rules. So previous stories have always been well received, and this one is no different. Another really good Tom Thorne story. So what's it all about, I hear you say? Well, the story kicks off with Tom Thorne and his colleague Dave Holland arresting a guy called Nick Creswell. Nick Creswell, they've been after for a long time, wanted for murder, and Tom is sort of musing as they get ready to arrest Creswell. I think that in the movies they sometimes make a bit of a scene, but generally, is in his experience, when you catch a villain and they know they're banged to rights and they know there's a load of coppers outside, they go quietly. And sure enough, this is what happens. They've got support from the local Wood Green police stations of uniform officers. But everything goes relatively smoothly. DI Dave Holland arrests Creswell, and they return to the station. As they're coming out of Creswell's house, Tom sees that the four uniformed police officers are sat munching donuts, and he thinks, "Hang on, what's going on here?" And one of the police officers says, "Oh, there was a box of donuts left on their squad car, and it said, 'Thanks for everything you do.'" And they're all merrily munching away on a donut. And Tom's thinking, "Blimey, I haven't had anything to eat all day. I'm Hank Marvin here. I could do with the donut." And he's wondering if the police officer that's eaten the last donut will give him half of hers, but she won't. So he muses, "Well, never mind, get on with the job in hand, get on with it." All is well until a couple of days later he gets a call from his boss called DCI Russell Brigstoke, and he's going, that arrest you did the other night with Creswell. And he's thinking, "Oh no, the boss is after me. What have we done wrong? We did everything by the book. I can't understand what's going on." He said, "Well, the four police officers from Wood Green, they've all been really seriously ill. In fact, 3 of them have died and 1 of them's in a coma, and it looks like poisoning. It looks like they've been poisoned by arsenic poisoning." And Tom Thorne goes, "Oh, the donuts. They all ate the donuts." So this was a deliberate act, and thus the tale starts to unfold. We find another police officer, murdered a couple of days later. A retired police officer murdered as well. And it's clearly there's a problem. Tom and his team, Nicola Holland, DSD Pak Shalal, DC Charita Desai, he says, looking at his notes, they're trying to figure out what's going on. Clearly, somebody has got a grudge against some or all police officers. They get a tech team going into the dark web and find lots of notice boards, that are criticising the police. Some just for police officers giving them parking tickets, others with a real grudge, a real hatred of the police. And what they're trying to do is find out what's going on here, because clearly somebody is seeking. Is it revenge, vengeance? What is it? And the other thing that's really worrying Tom as his team, as they're having to deal with these dreadful murders, is that only a few people knew they were going to Creswell's house to arrest him. The second occasion where there's a murder, somebody knew where that police officer was going to be, where he takes his mid-shift break, and it becomes apparent to Tom that somebody somewhere is leaking information to the perps, and somebody probably fairly high in the police hierarchy. So thus we have a twisty tale with Tom and his team on the trail of the perpetrators, whilst all the time knowing that somebody somewhere in their own organisation is either being responsible directly or helping the perpetrators. So it's a good twisty tale. We also look at the author does a great job, apart from the, that top level is a police procedural, but the author does a great job of looking at the, people like Tom and his relationship with his girlfriend Helen, how difficult it is to manage, multiple murder cases and have a home life. Same with Nicola and her partner, and same with DCI Dave Holland, who's trying for a baby with his wife. So we see a bit of the domestic scene as well as the crime fighting scene, and how difficult it is for those people in modern day policing to deal with ordinary, honest to goodness villains, plus all the nefarious stuff going on the dark web. So it's a really, really good tale, lots of twists and turns, a fairly brutal twist right at the end of the book. I haven't read all the Tom Thorne books, so I can't say this is one of the best, but certainly it's one of the best that I've read. A really enjoyable read, 415 pages. So, as I said, top level police procedural, murder mystery, but you feel empathy with the characters, and there's a bit of a cliffhanger at the end. Apart from the brutal twist, there's a bit of a cliffhanger. Will he, won't he? Will Tom continue as a DI? So, really good read. I'd give it 7 out of 10 any day of the week. And I think that's it for this week's brief book review. Apologies for the background noise. It seems that everybody in the village has decided to cut their grass today. That's it. 10:10 till we do it again. Thanks for watching. Bye.